stomping, the mouse waving, and please leave your stress in your house. 'Cause we'll be out in the party, ain't no stress in the town.
8:08. Welcome back to Friday's edition of First Up right here on CTV as we count down to, of course, the close of the Olympics and wishing our athletes much success. The two races today, the javelin throw tomorrow with Shaun. Keep those positive vibes going. And speaking of positive vibes, we're really happy to introduce two gentlemen who are doing fantastic work in terms of finding interesting ways of sending positive messages throughout the country. With us is the founder and chairman of the Heroes Foundation, Mr. Philip Julian, and also an illustrator who I think is so talented, should be doing his work in London and in New York and LA, Mr. Shaun Riaz Mohammed. Gentlemen, good morning. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Good morning.
All right, we're talking about this creative way of telling stories.
Yes.
But not only telling stories, sending messages,
Absolutely.
bringing to light many of the dark sides of our society, and sending messages, and being also proactive in terms of getting people to understand how to deal with issues like HIV, AIDS, child abuse, and other ills that face society. Let's start with Philip Julian and the Heroes Foundation and moving in this direction. If I'm not mistaken, at first the Heroes Foundation started to recognize people who had done great things in the country.
Yes, initially we started around the lines of using the concept of heroism through individuals of Trinidad and Tobago who had done positive accomplishments to inspire the youth to improve themselves. We've evolved since then, and we're really now enabling a cycle of transformation in our nation's youth towards creating a generation of selfless heroes. So we have a youth development program in about 11 schools that empowers the youth to make difference in their schools and communities. We also have a mentorship program that's modeled after the Big Brothers Big Sisters international program. So as the youth get older, they can now mentor back to the younger ones. So that's why we view it as a cycle. But underlying all of that, since our first days 10 years ago, because we're now on our 10-year anniversary, has been the utilization of sequential arts as an effective medium to tell, as you said, inspirational, educational stories and messaging in a manner that's appealing and of interest to our target audience, the youth.
In this latest incarnation of Heart of a Hero, you're dealing with the issue of child abuse. Let's look at, just very quickly, some of the other issues that you've dealt with using the graphic novel model to transmit the messages.
Sure. Well, maybe we can actually use the actual comics to take us through. So the first book was essentially about the concept of heroism and patriotism. So a few stories in there on more traditional concepts of heroism. Then we focused on the differently abled, because that's what our youth development program team was working on. We then teamed up with NAC, and this one, as I said, went crazy. We have 80,000 copies of this book throughout the Caribbean and the UN, because it was dealing about HIV/AIDS awareness. And issue 4 it's about choices, so it talked about crime, it talked about alcohol abuse, it talked about early pregnancy.
Many of the pitfalls that young people can get into if they're not careful.
Right. And then we started a spin-off called Heroes of the Nation, which focused more on reality. So we had one about the Soca Warriors' success, and then this one about the passion of cricket, more directed to the primary school age group. Yeah.
Let's bring Mr. Mohammed into the conversation.
Yes.
And I just think your work is absolutely fantastic.
Thank you.
And many illustrators with that kind of talent could be making millions of dollars in other jurisdictions or even right here. What is it about you think your talent that you want to pour back into this direction?
Well, really, I want to help other artists realize their goals and seeing that this could be a viable career for them. I did art in school myself, and I never really thought about this as being a career for myself. It could have just been a hobby. But through the Heroes Foundation, I actually saw that I could do this for a living. So after I quit my regular job and did this full-time, I decided not only to help myself, but other artists, basically by tutoring them.
Is it hand drawing or is it computer?
Both. I tend to prefer to have everything hand-drawn, but I utilize the computer sometimes myself.
And we have, sorry to interrupt, Jesse, we have a multimedia coordinator, Ranji Prasad, who is the writer and the colorist. He uses the computer to color over Shaun's pencils and inks.
Just as a matter of interest, have you done the artwork for all of the Heart of a Hero series, or is it just this most recent edition that you've done work for?
I've contributed to all but the first Heart of a Hero. There have been some issues that I've actually done all the artwork for, but generally we try to share the duties to give other artists some exposure.
Okay. When you were actually you know, doing the artwork for this material, you would have had a script to work with.
Yes.
How difficult was it to translate those words into images, or was it that it just came naturally to you?
I believe I've been very fortunate in the fact that I've worked with some really great creative people who are easy to get along with. And their scripts were very descriptive and very straightforward. Of course, that isn't always the case, but I've been fortunate to have such people work with.
This comic is going to be among many others that will be promoted at Comic Fest over the weekend. Yes. And you're telling a different kind of story in it. It's not the normal comic where you get a laugh or you dive into an adventure. You're dealing with reality here, a very harsh reality involving children. What do you think the reception would be to the young people who would get their hands on a copy of this? Philip Julian.
Yeah, I think, Jessie May, we can already talk to that, because through the sponsorship of the Australian High Commission and Worley Parsons, 5,000 copies were created that have been distributed in our schools and also at the Comic Fest. So they will be available tomorrow at the Comic Fest, which is in San Fernando, I think.
In La Romaine.
La Romaine. And the feedback from not only the students but from the teachers has been remarkable. They said, you know, you've taken a medium that's normally, as you said, lighthearted, added an important element of seriousness to that the young people need to learn about child abuse awareness. And, you know, to see young people sitting around just staring and absorbing it in, you know, the moment it gets in their hands, you know some positivity is coming out of it because they are now aware. And that, across the line, Jessie May, we've seen as a positive impact.
Let's talk about getting the message out in other medium. Books and hard copy is one thing, but in the digital age,
yes.
Is this foundation looking at getting these on iPads, Kindles, possibly going to a television series, which young people tend to gravitate to more?
There's a lot of great ideas that we've been working on over the years, and we start with our website that is in the process of getting upgraded. So the short answer, Paul, is yes, we'd love to see this created online where it can be animated. You know, we've had conversations with the UTT animated, you know, Camille Abrahams, of bridging that gap. A lot of great ideas. I think it's just waiting to happen, and of course for the requisite funding to come to make that vision a reality. But we're absolutely there. We'd love to team with one of the mobile providers to get it available on the phones. And so the ideas are there. It's just to take the energy and the funding to make it a reality.
Just a quick reminder, Comic Fest happens tomorrow at Ink Monsters in the Rainbow Plaza on the Gulfview Link Road in La Romaine. Starts at 10 in the morning and will conclude at 6. And you can see the Heart of a Hero series available at the Comic Fest, along with some other local artists as well who will be featured there, including Mr. Riley, Chris Riley, the guy who gave you Mango Children. If you want to find out more about how you can be involved with the Heroes Foundation in any way possible, why don't you give them a call at 622-9255, 622-9255, or check out their website, theheroesfoundation.com. That's theheroesfoundation.com.
Gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thanks
Congratulations. Keep up the great work.
Thank you.
We're going to take a short break and come back with more. This is First Up on